radio show.
From the hub of the tri-state area. Let's get the people what they want. We're in the lab with
DJ Wade to the Izzo.
He's got the latest Christian hip-hop, gospel, and Caribbean praise.
What's up, everybody? My name is Randy Mason, one half of Jesus Peace, JesusPeace.org, and you are watching the Musicionary live on JesusWired.com, where it's all about the music, the message, the ministry, and of course, the money. Without further ado, DJ Wado. Thank you for joining us, man.
What's up, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So this is the Musicionary, and let's just get right into it. WadoRadio.com. Definitely, one of the most respected and popular Christian hip hop brands that's out there. Websites, radio shows, everything like that. So take us back to when you got started and how you got to where you are today.
Wow. So I got started kind of in the mid-2000s, and really it was the early 2000s when I started really hearing Christian rap. I remember I had a friend of mine named Osaze Murray, still a really good friend of mine to this day. He was giving me CDs, and he took me to an event in the Bronx called Rap Fest. Okay. Boca Chica, Brother E, you know what I mean? And this was around 2003, and I had never heard any of these artists, but this was a legendary lineup. Corey Redden, Precise, R. Swift, Cross Movement, all of them were a part of this, this thing, man. And I remember seeing DJ Official just killing it, you know what I mean? And I had grown up, in hip hop culture, always into the music, DJing in nightclubs and stuff when I went to Howard University. And when I got saved, I kind of given all of that up. So now being introduced into this whole new world that I didn't even know existed, it started to spark something in me. It was just a podcast, man. I had a MySpace page, no website, none of that stuff. But we just started as a podcast in 2006, and I just started interviewing artists. And I didn't really know there wasn't that many platforms doing that at the time. So I ended up kind of serving a need in the marketplace that I didn't even know existed. And so that's what kind of helped me in the early days, I think, kind of build the brand. And then we started the website just because we wanted a more in-depth way to connect with people. So I was cool with just doing a podcast. We're starting to get it on some radio stations and stuff like that. But, I was like, yo, we really need something to kind of fully connect with people. And so we just kind of started expanding that thing, man. Breaking news, album reviews, blogs, videos, video interviews, all of that kind of stuff. And but it really just started, man. The music was blessing me, bro. Like, it was discipling me in so many different ways. After the music stops, the fade. Tony Tillman, he was Brother Tone back then. He had an EP out that was I love, man. Revolutionary theme music, Cross Movement, Holy Culture, like all of those CDs in a way helped shape me and mold me into the man that I am today in a major way. And so the show in its early stages, that's what it was. It was promoting this music that was blessing me. I was just hoping, bro, real talk, my friends that didn't know about Christian rap would tune in and find out about this music. And, God just grew it, bro.
Praise God. It's more than music, it's ministry, so it's not just about the music. It's ministry primarily.
Sure.
Ministry through music. So is there a distinction between business and ministry, and if so, how do you differentiate?
Man, I'll say this, bro. There's a distinction probably in how we define them, but if you really understand ministry and what it means to live the Christian life, that should influence how you do business. So my core set of values, principles, and all those things are shaped by my faith in God, my belief in the Bible. And so because of that belief, that should then influence every other area of my life. How I treat my wife, how I treat my kids, how I interact with people in my community, all those different things, even the type of music that I listen to, how I dress, how I govern myself. And it should absolutely influence how I do business. So I think there's room for, being a smart businessman and all those different things, but I still have a ministry mindset with what I do. So, for instance, let's make this plain. as a DJ, if you want to book me for an event, I charge. You know what I'm saying? There's a reality. But there are times and instances where I will do things free of charge, where I could charge because, man, I feel led to be a part of that event, and I know these individuals may not have money to pay for it, or this is an outreach. There's no money being made here. You know what I'm saying? So I think being able to balance those things and knowing, okay, if I'm in this space, this is what I'll do. If I'm in this space, we need to do this. And the reasons why, I think, kind of play into, that whole ministry versus business balance.
Right. I read a blog that you wrote. It might have been around that time about ministry in New York and Christian hip hop.
Well, I didn't write it quite. It wasn't that long ago. But yeah, I know what article you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, it was difficult to do it out here. A lot of guys go down south.
Yep.
Because it's just more feasible, economically feasible.
Yeah, I think living in this part of the country, living in LA, living in Chicago, very expensive regions, and I think what's been unfortunate about New York is we don't really work together. Everybody kind of just does their thing, and because of the economic realities of living in this area, it makes it very difficult to do those things by yourself.
Right.
Just because financially, man, listen, bro, you probably paying $1,100, $1,200 a month for rent for a one bedroom. Right. You know what I mean? That's the reality of the situation. So I think, man, part of why we haven't seen this just mass influx of artists on the national scene from New York is because of that. Right. Because of the economic realities and the fact that we don't work together the way that we probably should. Whereas on the West Coast, and they've been working together for years out there. You know what I'm saying? And just coming together. So, for instance, you take a crew like the Dream Junkies. It's expensive to live in San Diego. But the fact that John Gibbs, Belief, and Ruslan, along with DJ Rack, along with their, inner circle of producers and everything, Anthony Cruz, all of that, they work together, right? They're able to achieve way more as a collective than they would as individuals.
Right.
And I think that's part of why New York is what it is, bro.
Right. And why do you think that? Is it the cold? Are we cold-hearted because of all this snow?
Bro, we grew up, most of us grew up on Biggie and Jay-Z. Right. And there was always the King of New York complex. Okay. And I think many of us as Christians still have the King of New York complex. I want to be the guy from New York. I want to be the number one guy. Listen, the top guy from New York right now is Andy Mineo. And the reason why he came up, part of it was not because he wanted to be the top guy. This guy was a servant, part of Truce. Gage will tell you this story. When he shot his video for Best Friend, Andy was there working the camera. Wow. And like a year later signed to Reach Records.
Wow. Is Christian hip hop today, because a lot of people have different opinions on this,
sure.
Cold, lukewarm, hot?
I think there's different people that probably fit those. Fit those descriptions. I think, man, I'll say this. I think what we used to emphasize and highlight, we don't really emphasize and highlight. So for instance, I mentioned earlier, After the Music Stops, it's an album about discipleship, right? I remember I was talking to, hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name, Jay Monty about it. Jay Monty's like 23, 24. I love him, man. He's almost like a throwback to dudes back then.
Right.
But we were talking about it, and I was just like, man, that's really, like a landmark album in this scene, I felt like. And he was just like, man, I've never heard that album. You know what I mean? I was just like, dang, it was almost 10 years ago now, right? So he was just like, man, he's like, what's the album about? After the Music Stops. I was like, bro, the whole record's about discipleship.
Right.
And his words were, wow, somebody made a whole album about discipleship? I'm like, yeah. And I was like, that was the hottest record out. at the time. You know what I mean? Like, so I just feel like I think there's more of a focus on being an entertainer and building a brand. And I'm not saying that dudes ain't discipling people and all of that stuff, but I think there used to be, I guess, like almost an encouragement that, hey, everybody should be living like this. Right. Like, and we should be living like this in front of people, not necessarily, you know, kind of behind the scenes, like I do this, but I never talk about it in my music type of deal. Right. And I just feel like that element's missing. I'm not saying everybody's got to be, you know, preaching and breaking down scriptures and things like that. But I'm like, I know you guys live like this. Right. I know y'all. Like, I know y'all do these types of things. You know, most of these artists, but it's like we don't really talk about it. We don't, you know. So I think it's just probably a mixture of both, bro. Like, you know, I mean, you got, listen, man. Whenever you have an artist that gets to be as big as Lecrae, people are going to see that and say, man, I want to do that because you can make a lot of money. So you got people in this game that's doing that for that. Like, so, you know, you have that. But I think you also have a lot of people in this, man, that just love the Lord. And they're doing it because they want to communicate a certain message. Then you have some people that are like, man, I love the Lord, but man, I want to blow up too. And so they're constantly conflicted with, you know, what am I communicating in my music? Do I just go with what I feel? Do I go with something intentional? Am I consulting God about what it is He wants me to use this platform for? So I think you just got to mix of all those different things.
What can we expect in 2016 from DJ Wado and Radio.com?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing with me personally is you're probably going to start to see, I don't know if the right word is a separation, but you're going to see a more clearly defined DJ Wado brand as an individual, and then a Wado Radio brand as a ministry collective, you know, with all the people that kind of encompass the ministry team. So we're actually in the process of revamping WadoRadio.com. Hopefully that will be launched in the next month and a half. You know what I'm saying? But then also I'm working on a music project, DJ Wado music project. Haven't decided if I'm gonna do an EP or a full-length album yet, but it'll be all original music, features, you know, with all different types of artists. I'll probably do some preaching / teaching, you know, on there as well, incorporating that into some of the songs. Like we were. I mean, it's still super early in the process. Like we've been, you know, we're getting the music together right now, writing a lot of the songs. But one of the things we were toying with was sampling different pastors on a lot of the songs and adding sermons. And then the other day, we was all just like, man, hey, you should just do this. Like, you know, it's like you do these periscopes and stuff every day. Like, you should just do this. So I'm excited, man. It's I haven't been this energized about a project in a really long time. It's like the more I dive into this, the more excited I am about it. Just because I feel like there's some messages and things that I want to communicate that really aren't being communicated. And not in a negative sense, I just think, man, this is what God wants me to communicate. So, you know, just kind of working through a lot of that stuff. Just got me excited. So, you know, you'll see the DJ Wado project coming out sometime this year. New WadoRadio.com. And we'll be expanding. I think we're going to do a better job at covering breaking news and stuff like that. We'll keep the album reviews going and all that. We're even talking about doing some spin-off podcasts as well. So some other members of the team will probably be doing some podcasts and radio shows and that kind of thing. And then this November will mark 10 years of the Wado Radio Show. So we'll be celebrating that in a number of ways. Hopefully we'll do a big concert in November. Kind of get on that. But yeah, nice. So we're just working through all that, right?
Awesome. Plenty to look forward to in 2016. Yeah, that's a wrap. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, bro.
You guys are watching the Musicionary. Make sure you stay tuned at JesusWired.com. My name is Randy Mason. We are live at Elements Church in the Bronx.